The discovery, the salvage yard floated in the darkness between stars, a graveyard of dead ships from 100 different worlds. Jake Thompson wiped the grease from his hands and stared at his scanner. The device was picking up something strange from Sector 7. "That's impossible," he muttered, adjusting the settings. The energy reading remained steady, a faint pulse coming from the deepest part of the yard. Jake had been working at Rex's salvage station for 3 years. In that time, he had seen countless wrecks drift through their space. Some were recent casualties of pirate raids. Others were ancient hulks that had been floating for centuries. But none had ever shown active energy signatures. "Hey, Tom, come look at this," Jake called to his fellow mechanic. Tom floated over. In the zero gravity, his magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. He glanced at the scanner and shrugged. Probably just background radiation. That section's full of old junk nobody wants. But Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. After their shift ended, while others headed to the station's bar, he grabbed a small repair kit and headed to Sector 7. The journey through the salvage yard was like flying through a museum of destruction. Broken fighters tumbled slowly past. Massive cargo haulers lay split open, their contents long since stolen. Jake navigated carefully, following the signal on his handheld scanner. Then he saw it. The ship was enormous, easily 5 kilometers long. Its hull was dark black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Strange symbols covered every surface, flowing like water frozen in time. Jake had never seen anything like it. According to the station's records, this wreck had been here for over 800 years. Dozens of salvage crews from different species had tried to cut into it. All had failed. The hull was made of some unknown material that resisted every cutting tool, every laser, every plasma torch. Eventually, everyone had given up. The ship was marked as permanently dead, not worth the effort. Jake approached slowly, his heart beating faster. The energy reading grew stronger. When he reached out and touched the hull, something extraordinary happened. The metal felt warm. Not hot, like a ship that had been in battle. Not cold, like everything else in the void. It was warm, like human skin. Jake pulled his hand back in surprise, then touched it again. The warmth spread up his arm, a tingling sensation that wasn't unpleasant. His tools began acting strangely. The plasma cutter activated on its own, its blue flame dancing. The diagnostic scanner cycled through different frequencies without being touched. Even his magnetic boots seemed to pulse with an odd rhythm. Jake moved along the hull, his hand trailing across the surface. The symbols seemed to shift slightly under his touch, rearranging themselves in subtle ways. Other salvagers had reported the ship was seamless, with no doors or windows. But Jake noticed something they had missed. The damage patterns weren't random. What looked like battle scars actually formed a pattern, almost like a map. Following the lines, Jake found himself at a section that looked identical to every other part of the hull. But when he placed both hands on it, he felt a vibration. "Please," he whispered, not sure why he was talking to a dead ship. "Open for me." Nothing happened for a long moment. Then, with a sound like a breath being released, a section of the hull dissolved. Not opened, not slid aside, it simply stopped being solid. Jake could see into a corridor beyond, dark but not empty. Faint lights, like stars, dotted the walls. He should have called for backup. Should have reported this to Captain Rex. Should have waited for a full salvage team. But something pulled him forward. Jake stepped through the opening. The moment his boots touched the floor inside, the ship responded. Lights flickered on, just barely visible, like the ship was trying to wake from a very long sleep. The air was stale but breathable. And everywhere, those strange symbols pulsed with a faint blue glow. Jake pulled out his diagnostic tool and connected it to what looked like a data port. The screen exploded with information, symbols and numbers, scrolling faster than he could read. Then, suddenly, they resolved into something he understood. 2 words appeared on his screen. Welcome back. The ancient warship had been waiting. And finally, after sleeping for ages, the right species had arrived to wake it up. Asterisk, the awakening Jake couldn't sleep that night. The words, welcome back, burned in his mind. He had told no one about his discovery, not even Tom. Something deep in his gut warned him to keep it secret, at least for now. The next morning, he loaded a hover cart with repair equipment. Basic stuff, power cells, circuit boards, universal connectors. Captain Rex raised an eyebrow when he saw Jake heading out. Where are you going with all that? The old man asked, his gray beard floating in the low gravity. Sector 7, Jake replied, trying to sound casual. Thought I'd take another look at that energy reading. Rex grunted. That old black Hulk? Don't waste your time, boy. 3 different species tried to crack it open last century. The Zelari even brought in their best engineers. Nothing worked. But Jake was already moving, pulling the cart behind him. He had to get back to the ship dot when he reached the ancient vessel. The opening appeared again at his touch. This time, more lights activated as he entered. The corridor stretched ahead, curving gently. Jake noticed the walls weren't really walls. They were made of countless thin fibers, woven together like muscle tissue. He found what looked like a control room. A large chair sat in the center, surrounded by dark panels. Jake approached carefully and placed his hand on the main console. Pain shot through his skull. No, not pain. Information. Images, sounds, feelings, all pouring into his mind at once. Jake gasped and tried to pull away, but his hand seemed stuck to the panel. The flood of data slowly organized itself, becoming something he could understand. The ship was scanning him. Not just his body, but his brain, his neural patterns, his very thoughts. Jake felt exposed, vulnerable, but also accepted. The ship liked what it found. Suddenly, he understood. The panels around him weren't broken. They were dormant, waiting for the right kind of mind to activate them. The ship's builders had used bioneural circuits, technology that merged organic and artificial systems. And human brains, with their unique electrical patterns and chemical signals, were almost identical to what the builders had possessed. Jake began working, his hands moving almost on their own. He connected power cells to ports that shouldn't exist on an alien ship, but somehow did. He rerouted circuits using methods no one had taught him, but that felt completely natural. Hours passed without him noticing. A new presence touched his mind. Not invasive, but gentle, like someone knocking on a door. Hello, it said without words. Jake nearly jumped out of his skin. Who? What are you? I am the ship. I have been sleeping. You woke me. The voice felt ancient, tired, but also relieved. Jake realized he was communicating with an artificial intelligence, one that had been dormant for millennia. Why did you respond to me? Jake asked aloud, still not used to mental communication. Your species, humans, you have the pattern, the same neural frequencies as my creators. I am programmed to respond only to the pattern. Before Jake could ask. More questions. Alarms blared throughout the salvage station. His communicator crackled to life. Jake, where the hell are you? Captain Rex's voice was panicked. The Galactic Council just showed up with 3 warships. They're demanding to know who's been messing with the derelict. Jake's blood ran cold. The Galactic Council ruled this sector of space with an iron fist. They didn't make social calls. They fear me, the ship whispered in his mind. They have always known what I am. They hoped I would never wake. What are you? Jake asked. I am Guardian. I am the last defender of the Makers. And now, I am yours. Through the ship's sensors. Jake could see the Council vessels approaching. Commander Vex, a tall reptilian creature, was already boarding the station. Jake had to make a choice. He could leave, pretend he had found nothing. Let the ship go back to sleep, stay safe, or he could stay and protect this incredible discovery. Jake's hand tightened on the console. Guardian, can you defend yourself? Not yet. I need more repairs. But with your help, with human help, I can become whole again. The decision was easy. Jake had always fixed broken things. And this ship, this Guardian, was the most important thing he'd ever found. Then let's get to work, he said, pulling more tools from his cart. We don't have much time. The ancient Warship hummed with new life, ready to rise again after ages of sleep. And this time, it had found the right partners to stand beside it. Asterisk. The Bond Commander Vex's voice echoed through the station's communication system. By order of the Galactic Council, all personnel will submit to questioning. Anyone found tampering with restricted technology will face immediate execution. Jake worked faster, his hands flying over Guardian's controls. The ship was teaching him, downloading knowledge directly into his mind. Every circuit he repaired brought more systems online. Jake, Guardian said urgently, I must show you something. You need to understand why they fear me. We don't have time, please. Touch the memory core. Jake found himself reaching for a crystal formation in the center of the console. The moment his fingers made contact, the world disappeared. He was standing in a vast city made of light. Tall beings moved through the streets, their bodies graceful and slim, their faces kind. These were the Makers, Guardian's creators. Jake felt their emotions, joy, curiosity, love for life and learning. Then the sky turned dark. Ships appeared, hundreds of them. Jake recognized the designs immediately. They were council ships, just more primitive versions. The attack was swift and merciless. The Makers tried to negotiate, tried to understand why they were being attacked. The answer was simple: fear. The council races feared the Makers' advanced technology. Their peaceful influence, their very existence. Guardian showed him everything. How the Makers fought back only to defend. How they refused to use their most terrible weapons. How in the end, they chose extinction over becoming killers. Before the end, Guardian explained, they changed my programming. I was to sleep until I found a species with the pattern. A species that could be trusted with our knowledge. You humans are not descendants of the Makers, but your neural evolution followed the same path. You are what they hoped to find. Jake gasped as the vision ended. Tears ran down his face. The council committed genocide. Yes, and they have hidden this truth for 3,000 years. A bang echoed through the ship. Someone was trying to cut through the hull from outside. Jake could hear Captain Rex arguing with the council forces, buying time. Guardian, what do you need to defend yourself? Connection. Not just with you, but with more humans. I was designed for a crew. Jake grabbed his communicator. Tom, are you there? Jake, where are you? The council is going crazy. I need you to gather every human on the station, all 200 of them. Bring them to Sector 7, the black ship. Don't let the council see you. Are you insane? Tom, please. Trust me. This is bigger than you. No. There was a pause. Then, on our way. While he waited, Jake continued repairs. Guardian guided him to critical systems, showing him shortcuts that would have taken other species years to discover. The ship was learning from him too, adapting to human technology, upgrading itself. The humans arrived in small groups, sneaking past council patrols. They gasped when they saw the massive ship responding to Jake's presence, lights dancing across its hull. Everyone, put your hands on the hull, Jake instructed. Jake, what is this? An engineer named Mary asked. This is Guardian. It needs us. All of us. One by one, the humans touched the ship. Each contact created a small connection, a tiny thread of consciousness between human and machine. Guardian hummed with growing power. "Remarkable," the ship said, its voice now audible to all the humans. "Your species has such diversity of thought, yet you can unite when needed. The makers would have loved you." Tom stared in wonder. "It's talking. To us. All of us." "The Council has been lying," Jake announced. "They destroyed this ship's creators out of fear. Now they want to destroy it again, because Guardian knows the truth." Through the station's windows, they could see more Council ships arriving, dozens of them, forming a blockade. Commander Vex's voice boomed again. "Humans of the salvage station, you have 1 hour to surrender the artifact. If you refuse, we will destroy the entire station." The humans looked at each other, fear and determination mixing on their faces. They were just salvage workers, mechanics, cooks, and traders. Not warriors, not heroes. But Mary stepped forward. "If this ship chose us, there's a reason." She pressed both hands firmly against Guardian's hull. "I'm staying." One by one, the others agreed. Tom grinned at Jake. "Always knew you'd get us into trouble. Might as well be trouble worth having." Guardian pulsed with warmth. "Thank you. With your help, I can protect you all. The Council will learn that humans are not to be underestimated." Jake felt the bond solidify. 200 humans and 1 ancient. AI, united against the force that had hidden the truth for 3 millennia. The odds were impossible, but then again, humans had always been good at beating impossible odds. Asterisk the Test 50 Council warships hung in space like predators circling prey. Commander Vex's ultimatum echoed in everyone's minds. Surrender or die. Inside. Guardian, Jake stood at the main console while the other humans spread throughout the ship. Each person had found a station that responded to their touch. The cook, Bill, somehow understood the navigation systems. Mary, the engineer, connected with weapons control. Even old Captain Rex, who had joined them despite his fear, found himself understanding the shield generators. Jake, Guardian said urgently. "My weapon systems are unlike anything your species has seen. They require a specific frequency to activate, a harmonic resonance that must be precise." "What kind of frequency?" "The makers activated them through vocalization. Music in your language. But it must be perfect unified, or the weapons won't respond." Jake's heart sank. "You need us to sing?" "Together. All of you. The same note, the same rhythm. Your voice patterns, when synchronized, match the Maker's activation protocol." Outside, the Council ships powered up their weapons. Energy beams would strike in minutes. "Everyone!" Jake shouted through the ship's communication system. "I know this sounds crazy, but Guardian needs us to sing, all together. Same note. Sing?" Tom laughed nervously. "Jake, we're about to be vaporized, and you want us to form a choir?" "The ship's weapons activate through harmonic frequency. Our voices together can do it." Silence met his words. Then Bill's gravelly voice came through. "What song?" Jake thought quickly. It had to be something everyone knew, something simple. "Amazing Grace." Everyone knows that one, right? Murmurs of agreement came from throughout the ship. 200 humans from different worlds and colonies, but that old Earth hymn had somehow followed humanity to the stars. "On my mark," Jake said, watching the Council ships charge their main guns. 3.2. 200 voices rose as one. The first notes were shaky, people finding their pitch. But as they continued, something incredible happened. Guardian began to resonate with their song, the ship itself becoming a massive amplifier. "Yes," Guardian exclaimed. "Continue. You're doing it." The ancient weapon systems came online one by one. Not cannons or missiles, but something far more elegant. Guardian projected energy fields that enveloped the Council ships like soap bubbles. "Commander, Vex's voice crackled through. Fire! Destroy them. 50 ships fired at once. Beams of destruction that could crack moons raced toward the station. The humans sang louder, their voices growing stronger. Guardians' shields flared to life, not just blocking the attacks, but absorbing them. The energy that should have killed them instead fed the ship's long-dormant power cores. Now, Guardian said, let me show them the Maker's mercy. The weapon bubbles around the Council ships pulsed. In an instant, every hostile ship went dark. Not destroyed, not damaged, but completely disabled. Weapons, engines, life support, everything except emergency. Systems shut down. The singing stopped as 200 humans stared in awe. They had just defeated the most powerful fleet in the sector without killing a single soul. But Guardian wasn't finished. The ship projected massive holograms into space, visible from every inhabited world in the system. The images showed the truth, the Maker's peaceful civilization, the Council's unprovoked attack, the genocide that followed. Then came the records, transmitted on every frequency. 3,000 years of hidden history, proof of the Council's crimes, evidence they had thought destroyed forever. Commander Vex's emergency communicator activated. His voice was no longer commanding, but afraid. You. You cannot do this. The Council maintains order. Without us, without you, Jake interrupted, the galaxy might actually know peace. Guardian spoke, its voice reaching every ship, every station, every planet within range. I am Guardian, last witness to the Maker's truth. The humans have awakened me not through force or conquest, but through harmony. They are my chosen crew now. Through Guardian sensors, Jake detected something else. Energy signatures throughout the galaxy, dormant for millennia, suddenly stirring. My sister ships, Guardian explained. 7 more, hidden in places the Council never thought to look. They are responding to my awakening. They sense human neural patterns. Jake grinned. How many humans would it take to crew them all? Not many. You've shown that humans can bond with us easily. A few dozen per ship would suffice. The disabled Council fleet floated helplessly as rescue ships arrived to tow them home. Their era of dominance through fear was ending. Tom clapped Jake on the shoulder. So we just became the galaxy's peacekeepers? Looks like it, Jake replied. Think we're ready? Mary laughed. Ready? We're human. We'll figure it out as we go. Guardian hummed with something that felt like joy. The Makers would be proud. You faced power with unity, hatred with harmony. The test is passed. Asterisk.